Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 3:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. All right, I found a story this morning that I think I could describe for me personally as infuriating more than anything. Before I get into that, I want to describe a movie that just a part of a movie that I watched probably in the last year. The reason I only watched part of it, I watched the first about 10 or 15 minutes of it, and I was so bothered by what I saw. I shut it off. That's a swear to God true story. So I was trying to find the name of the movie this morning. It had to do with slavery. It was a true story. I believe it was the movie Harriet. I'm going to describe what I saw in those first 10 or 15 minutes. Like I said, this was a true I believe this was Harriet Tubman's true story. And if this is the movie that I watched, it started out with an enslaved couple, two black people, a black woman and a black man, a couple, coming up to the slave owner, the plantation owner, on a porch, and they were asking her, and you could see they were scared and everything, and they were asking for permission to have a child between the two of them. And I can't remember exactly what the plantation owner said, but she gave off this evil presence, and I think she gave them permission, and then she described how their child would benefit her because it would be another slave for her, how she would end up enslaving the child that they were begging permission to have. This is a true story, a movie that I watched. I shut it off right after that because it bothered me so. I swear on the Bible, true story. I just shut it off after 10 or 15 minutes because it shocked me. And I'm saying this because I think sometimes, and this is the true story of Harriet Tubman, if I'm not mistaken, this true movie I watched, and that is the real story of slavery. Just this morning, I was looking up how many black people were enslaved during that period just in North America, and I believe 12 million black people were abducted from Africa and brought here in chains and enslaved for their lives and their child. That's the part that blew my mind. I think maybe that's the part that should be taught in school. How because it never occurred to me. I was ignorant, and that it never occurred to me when these couples that are enslaved have children, that their children would actually be born into slavery. They would grow up seeing their kids out in the fields in chains, and that just blew my mind that any group of people could do that to another group of people. It bothered me so much I shut the movie off. Okay, that takes me to Ron DeSantis and what he is planning on teaching in Florida schools. The good side, the positive side of slavery. Kamala Harris just recently joined in on this. She's kind of shocked that DeSantis is trying to say that there was a good side to slavery. Now, there's a clip right down below from Jesse Waters. This is one of the things that I can't stand is when people try to lie about what they're doing. They try to get out of responsibility for what they're doing, which shouldn't surprise me because that's what this whole story is about, getting out of responsibility. I mean, sometimes you have to learn from your mistakes. Those who did not learn from history are condemned to repeat it, kind of thing. And it seems like people like Ron DeSantis and people on the right just are refusing to admit that America, the great country of America, ever committed did anything wrong. This country was ordained by Jesus and God themselves. That Europeans were given this land, and it was all God's plan. Okay, so Jesse Waters in this clip right down below, I wrote down exactly word for word what he says, and it's total bull. You got to watch this. I wrote down word. Let me tell you word for word what he says. He says, no one is arguing slaves bended from slavery. No one is saying that. It's not true. Okay, so he's saying, no, that's not what Ron DeSantis is saying. No one's saying that because it's not true. No one is arguing slaves bended from slavery. That's his argument. That's his opening argument. He goes on to say, he's correcting this. They're teaching how black people develop skills during slavery, in some instances that could be applied for their own personal benefit. I watched this clip. I'm not exaggerating here. I watched this clip at least 20 times over and over again to get every word right. And let's be honest here. He's saying the exact same thing. He's actually looking at his Fox viewers and saying, look, we're not saying that at all. No one's saying that. It's not true. No, no one's arguing that slaves benefit from slavery. Ron DeSantis isn't saying that. What they plan on teaching. He's trying to argue that what they're teaching in Florida schools isn't slaves benefited from slavery. No one's saying that. It's not true. What they are teaching, though, is that how black people develop skills during slavery, in some instances, that could be applied for their own personal benefit. And I actually went through the exact words, and he added black people. He used that to describe the slaves. He used the word applied and own personal benefit instead of just benefit. Those are pretty much just the words he added there. He added a few little extra words to pretty it up a little bit. But watch the clip. He's saying, I thought this was a joke at first. When I first watched this, I thought it was a joke. Yeah, and I swear to God, I watched this 20 times over and over again. And I was like, he's serious. He's seriously saying, no one's saying that. It's not true. It's not true. This is what we're saying. And then he says the exact same thing, adding about 5 words and changing maybe 2 words. Says the exact, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm freaking wrong on this. And this just drives me crazy. Like I said, it's kind of to be expected. Because what he's doing here, he's doing something and he's denying let's face it, it's evil. It is. Trying to say that there was a good side to slavery. And let me get into that for a second. As a person that is part Native American, Micmac tribe, my ancestry goes back to Maine, northern Maine and Canada, French Canadian, and the Micmac tribe, the Micmac people, the Acadian people of Upper Maine. That's my history. So I started thinking, what is next? And I shouldn't say that because it's already happening. What was the good side to the murder of almost 5 million Native Americans? Because I had to look that up this morning, because I knew it was in the millions. 5 million indigenous Native Americans just in North America. Because if you count North America and South America and Central America, it's more like 56 million indigenous people killed, wiped out during the European conquest of these 2 continents. So I was going to say, what's next? That the Europeans coming here was good for the Native Americans, and wiping the Trail of Tears was good. It taught them outdoor skills and survival skills. It taught Native Americans real estate law, because they should have owned land. They should have had contracts. And I'm saying this as a person that's part Native American here. So I still thought about this a little further. Because America and these people on the right, they don't want to admit that the United States, and nobody in the United States, it was just ordained by God, and everything about it is perfect. There's no bad side to the United States. Nothing bad ever happened here. We never made any bad choices. There's something good in everything we've ever done. Okay, what if another country did this? What if Japan said the bombing of Pearl Harbor? Say that they're tired of being blamed for Pearl Harbor. And they say, there was a good side to Pearl Harbor. It taught the United States more air defense. What about this, though? What's next? What if Germany, seriously, say if Germany is just tired of being looked at as what happened during that period, during Nazi Germany? What if they want to say that, look, there was a good side to this? We're tired of, Germany is a great country and great people, and it always has been, and there was a good side to this period. And that's when I started thinking about that sign that was above the slavery camps that said, you should be freed through work, you shall be free. I'm not getting it. I don't know how it's said in German. That was an actual lie, a horrific lie that was on the sign in front of, I think it was Auschwitz. I might be getting that wrong. I didn't look it up this morning. But what would be our opinion here if we saw the Chancellor of Germany next week saying this? Look, there were some mistakes made, but there was a good side to that period in German history. What if we saw Germany doing that next week? The Chancellor of Germany saying, it taught Jewish people skills. It taught them, I don't know. I have a hard time coming up with, I couldn't come up with one good thing that slavery taught. Wait, what Jesse Waters is saying here, because no one's arguing that slaves benefit from slavery. But I have a hard time trying to figure out what he is saying here. They're teaching how black people develop skills. What skills? Seriously, what skills did black people develop during slavery that would? Wait, I want to make sure I get his words perfectly right here. In some instances, that could be applied for their own personal benefit. Help me out here. Tell me, what did slaves learn? That takes me back to that movie I watched. Those 10 minutes of the movie I can't even remember the name of now because I was so horrified by this true story of this black couple begging permission to have a child so that the child could grow up into slavery. That is the real ugly side of slavery. Sometimes you have to admit your mistakes. You have to admit your mistakes to learn from them. I'll be back later with another video. You guys, the links are down below. Have a good Sunday.